Warning, the following program contains news talk, solutions, and information not found in filtered media outlets. Viewer discretion is advised.
Attention, you are now about to enter
Filter-Free Radio.
So open your mind, push reset, and reboot your computer.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Filter. It's time for news, opinion, and ass-kicking from Filter-Free Radio. Better than news, better than talk. Giving the finger to mainstream media. Who's got the goods? They've got the goods. It's Filter-Free Radio. FilterFreeRadio.com.
When I talk about resistance, I think we have to stand up now and carry out acts of nonviolent resistance.
Because the truth is, we do have power.
We live in revolutionary times, but the counter-revolution is winning.
Sounds like a case of the Mondays.
Live Monday, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern. FilterFreeRadio.com.
This is my favorite show.
We have been given an opportunity to make a new beginning.
And I think it's very important for us to start to build a culture of resistance because what we're doing isn't working, clearly.
It's our job to very coldly assess reality and then figure out how to respond.
Your number one source for unfiltered truth, analysis, and solutions. FilterFreeRadio.com.
Chewing bubblegum and kicking ass. Heck yes. And we're doing it all at the same time. Multitasking. Making it happen. Welcome, friends, alternative thinkers, independent minds, and unfiltered truth and news seekers. Jacob Dean broadcasting live here with you. This is Filter Free Radio, our show fed up with the status quo. We talk about how we change it. We talk about how we mobilize you and me, we the people, to get active and be that change. Because, hey, if we can reach one person and just make a difference in that one person's life, that eventually becomes a lifetime of difference. And that is a success. This is what it's all about. Welcome. Our website is filterfreeradio.com. We are also live on the home of Nicole Sandler at radioornot.com. We're broadcasting live on Liberal Justice Radio on the TuneIn app and tunein.com. Thanks to Mr. Kenny Pick, he's the man. And if you want to carry filter-free radio in some fashion or another, let me know. Let's make it happen. Like our good friends at We Act Radio, we are now on 1480 AM in Washington, D.C. WeActRadio.com as well. However, you are joining us. So good to have you on board this week. Coming up on the show in the next 2 hours, we're going to have a lot of fun. It's going to be a very fantastic show. I'm going to explain this lobster suntan at some point. If you're watching us in Portland, we had 3 days of sunshine, and I got all of it, and it was very cool. It was also my birthday, and I put together a really cool birthday audio mashup I've got to share with you from Turn Up the Night, and also from Talking Left, and from our good friend Mark Taylor Canfield up in Seattle. And thank you all for sending your birthday wishes. It's been so much fun. Our super duper awesome ass producer, our co-host, our kick-ass, our all-around brother from another mother, Mr. Skeptical Scott, is working hard this evening at his other job, which actually pays him money, and that becomes a priority. And Mr. Scott needs a week off here once in a while, and he gets it. So he's the man. So Scott's going to be with us next week all as well. You can follow him on Twitter. It's at Filter Free Radio, and he is tweeting, so check him out there. But by my side this week, it is a very special treat, and I can't go any further into this episode without welcoming our special guest hosts for the entire 2 hours of the show with me tonight. It is the meeting of the minds of Liberal Justice Radio. First of all, let's welcome from Turn Up the Night. He is the man, the one, the only Kenny Pick of Turn Up the Night with Kenny Pick, the website, kennypick.com. You need to check it out.
Yeah, well, thank you. And please, I'm not going to explain my jellyfish translucence appearance, but you can explain your lobster boy appearance.
Yeah, I got to do a little bit of fishing this week, and I've got a picture to show, and it was super fun. So, it's going to be a very lighthearted We're going to have a lot of fun tonight's show, and normally we really dive into the news and get all, into the, how we're going to change the world with rebellion, nonviolent, action and movement and kind of thing. Tonight we're going to have fun. We're going to break the monotony a little bit, I should mention, for anyone who's tuning in. Oh, we're not going to change the world tonight? Well, we will, a little bit.
Damn it.
But we got to have a little bit of fun too, right? And Kenny's going to talk about Turn Up the Night as well for all of our friends on We Act Radio who have never checked out Turn Up the Night with Kenny Pick, which is on Tuesdays and Fridays at kennypick.com. But also on the line with us is super good friend and guest host of his own independent alternative media outlet. It is Mike Check Radio's host, Adam Hebert. The website, MikeCheckRadioshow.com. Adam, it is so good to have you on the show, buddy.
Thanks for having me. And Kenny, I warned you what would happen if you continue doing genetic experiments with jellyfish.
Well, I think it's just my aversion to the sun is what keeps me translucent. So,
hey, no, I got kidding. We're and guys, if folks don't know, folks are listening on We Act or on Nicole Sandler's network. Both Kenny and Adam host their own shows on Liberal Justice Radio, and there's a link to them on our website, filterfreeradio.com. And Kenny, I want you to kind of kick it off and tell us, for the folks, who have no idea, who maybe have never heard you before, man. Of course, we've been friends for going on, 2-3 years now. Good friends. And
please. I'd say going on 4.
And Kenny Pick is the official announcer, man. If you recognize his badass voice, he is the man with the killer voice who does all of our liners. You're listening to Filter Free Radio, kicking ass and taking names. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah, I put on my tough guy voice.
Yeah. Kenny, man, tell us about your show. And because you've been doing how long have you been doing Turn Up the Night? You've been doing it for far longer than I've ever. This show's only been around for a couple of years, and you've been doing your show for 5 years, I think, 6, 7.
Yeah, it's it'll be 6 years this December. My first show was in December of 2008.
There you go.
But that was in its raw forms, though. That's when it was like the hamster on the wheel kind of thing, just a podcast. But technically, Turn Up the Night with Kenny Pick has existed. No name changes. No, rebranding. No, change my personality. So, although I have a few. No, I kid. But yeah, we've been trucking, and really in its ultimate form, it's kind of existed now in the last, I'd say 3 years, with of course Tom Schaefer, my co-host from Columbus, Deborah Kell from Wine Country, California, Matt of Messaging Matters from Hollywood, P.S. Mueller from Madison, Wisconsin, and now on Fridays, a guy named, you might have heard of it, Adam Hebert joins us on Friday.
Yes.
And I first discovered you, man, it was around, I think, in 2010 or 2011. And back at the time, I was still, producing for Tom Hartman, which I used to be somebody cool, right? And then
I used to stalk you and send you audio.
And it was great because I would get, what was it? The Used Foods Emporium.
Yeah, that was the actual comedy bit that I shared with you. And probably the only one, really.
and we got it on the air. Tom played it, and it was great.
It was on the TV show. And I digress too, because Kim G from Indie Media Weekly is also a regular co-host every Friday. So, and we've got a nice round table of folks. A lot of people you'd probably know from other media outlets join us from time to time. Nicole Bell being one from Crooks and Liars. Yeah. And of course, we have our favorite rapper, Macaroni, who joins us quite a bit, too. So, but yeah, we've got lots of people popping in and out. And Jacob Dane, too. Of course, you filled in last, what were you, last Friday or Tuesday? I can't remember.
It was Wednesday.
Tuesday.
Wednesday.
Not Wednesday. There's no show on Wednesday.
Oh.
It was Tuesday because I was filling in
Tuesday.
For Matt, too.
Yeah. I did Nicole Sandler show Wednesday. I'm so sorry. Okay. It gets scrambled a little bit.
Understood. Well, okay. Well, just in a nutshell, because I don't want to bore people or anything. But yeah, my show, you can check it out. I've not missed a show in I think, 4 years, every Tuesday and Friday, 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern. KennyPick.com is an easy way. The TuneIn app is a great way as well. Liberal Justice Radio is the name of our channel. You can also find links to us at IndieMediaWeekly.com to all of our shows on Liberal Justice Radio. There's a tab for Adam's show, Jacob's show, my show, and Kim's, the shows she produces. And also you can listen to me on Mark Germain's Talk Radio 1, talkradio1.com, every time we do a show Tuesdays and Fridays, and it's a lot of fun. We're pretty lighthearted. Our tagline is news, opinion, and laughs, spelled with 2 F's. So, and that's what we do. We have lots of fun. No matter how bad the news is that day, I will find something to divert everybody's attention and make them laugh. Not laugh at the horrible news, just find something not so horrible to laugh about. So. And that's
and feel free to bust out that amazing audio soundbox of yours, however you'd like, throughout the show, and give folks a nice taste, because Kenny's like the audio producing guru, kind of behind the scenes of one of those people behind the scenes of who's always constantly getting those clips and stuff that really make you laugh. And every time I tune in to Turn Up the Night, I'm always constantly laughing my ass off. And for folks who don't know, your show at one point, man, was picked up and syndicated on terrestrial radio on a radio station there in Ohio, right? And
WVKO out of Columbus, Ohio. We were one of the most popular shows on that station until, unfortunately, they decided to switch to a gospel format, and apparently my show wasn't gospel-y enough for them. So,
and that's. If on a situation like that, when the whole format of the station changes, there's no hope there. I mean, it's not like, I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be so cynical.
Positive,
it's funny. I could look back and laugh. It's like, I feel worse though for the folks that actually were running the station. It's like me, I was just doing what I always did and sending them a show.
Right.
So but I mean, I can look back and laugh though, that now it's a gospel station, and yes, Turn Up the Night definitely not doesn't go well with that format. But yeah, you're right. Yeah, there was no throwing anybody a life preserver for a complete flip of that.
And I just wanted to make folks aware that it wasn't like, oh, Kenny's show started to suck or anything. No, it totally still kicks ass. I'm just saying, right? The station disappeared, but
yes,
and we'll totally continue this. I want to throw it to Adam for a few minutes too here, man. And thank you again, both of you guys, for joining me this evening and hanging out. I first of all, I miss both of you guys. Both of you all, I would consider my brothers from another mother's, along with Mr. Scott. So, Adam, man, first of all, it's been forever. And if folks don't know, your website, MikeCheckRadioShow.com, and there's a link to it on our website, and I'll throw up your logo on the Ustream. If anyone's watching my lobster face, I'm doing my best to hide my ridiculous sunburn. I call it a suntan because I burnt half my face off, and I had sunglasses on and a beanie hat, and so half of my face is like burnt red, and the other half is white, and so it's interesting.
You're like a Batman villain.
But I'm doing my best to put up logos of everyone's shows as well for folks who are watching on the video stream. But Adam, talk to us and tell us about Mike Check Radio and what you're doing there, and about your website and everything.
Sure. I mean, we do standard liberal talk for the most part. It's 2 hours of that every show. But what I think makes us unique is, first of all, we do a lot of funny stuff as well, because Kenny is one of my many muses.
You said doo-doo.
Hello? What?
You said we doo-doo.
I'm sorry.
Doo-doo? No, okay. I'll go there. Sorry.
My sense of humor is pretty reactionary because I've been watching Mystery Science Theater for so long, so I will sometimes riff on our clips as they play. But what makes us really unique is we also do a lot of nerd culture. We talk science. Last Saturday, me and Rob discussed the spring anime season and the summer anime season that's coming up.
Right.
Video games, stuff like that. There's no show that blends those two, and I think it's given us a really good formula.
And this is something that I could never talk about with Scott, because he's always like, I mean, Scott is so down for the cause that he, like, anytime I'm ever talking with him and it's like not about how come we're not changing the world, dude. It's like, and I got to take a break from that every once in a while. Like, I want to kind of actually, one of the projects on the back burner for me is to create the Jacob Dean show, kind of separate from Filter Free Radio. And because both of you have motivated me to have a more funny, kind of lighter show as well. But Scott has always tried to, and I've always tried to, what got me thinking about this, Adam, is what you said. What makes our show unique is, I think, that we are always trying to be so serious all the time.
All right, this is my show, and it's a serious intellectual hour of discussion, and I want to keep it that way.
And I respect that, and I totally get that, but I'm totally breaking that right now. And this is part of who I am. I mean, I love fart jokes. I love bathroom humor. I love to have fun, and there's nothing wrong with it, I don't think. So, anyways.
Something silly, just because it makes him feel funny.
Like I said, my style. Oh, sorry. I was just saying mine is more reactionary. I'm the sort of person, you give me a bad movie, I'll give you some degree of comedy gold. That's just how that's just my style of humor. And it works well because, like, we do the CPAC special, right, or as I sometimes call it, and Kenny knows this, deep hurting, which is because some of the stuff they say is just so painful. It
makes your ears hurt. I mean, to the point of bleeding.
Yeah, it's like, make it stop.
Right.
But yeah,
I thought I can help you with that.
Deep
hurting.
Deep hurting.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah. But like I said, it works, and we have Kenny on, and usually in the third hour, sometimes for more, and he does his graphic content where he promotes a part of his graphic novel collection.
Yeah, or I give a review or a recommendation.
Promote. We also a couple weeks ago we talked about Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and we both agree it's a good movie, well worth watching.
Right on.
So
yeah, a little bit of everything, right?
Yeah.
A veritable grab bag.
Yes. Yep. And that's what is the beauty about it, is there's a lot of uniqueness to it, and it kind of balances. There's a balance to it, and it all comes together, and it is all connected. It really is all connected, and we all make it work, and that's what is really part of the beauty behind it. And if it wasn't for you guys, especially Kenny and Adam, I mean, there wouldn't be Liberal Justice Radio. I mean, literally. I mean, this is a self kind of startup, independent operation that you've created and built from the ground up, and it's kind of creating another one of these hubs to connect all of the people who are doing their own independent online media. And because I think really we talked about this on the last couple of episodes. I drove up to Seattle and talked with folks up in Seattle about kind of the future of independent media and the future of progressive media and social networking, and we talked about the bittersweetness of it is anyone really can be the media, and anyone can do their own independent shows if you're motivated enough, and if you're dedicated enough, and if you're willing to put in the work that it takes to make it happen. And Adam and Kenny are probably two of the most dedicated, hardest working people at their independent programs that I know. I mean, I wish I had the consistency that you guys have, and now that I have the responsibility of We Act, like I haven't missed a show yet. So
There you go. And I have to say, Jacob, when I was listening to that show the other day, when you were talking about, becoming the media, that's what we have to do. I got to say that my big inspiration was, and I'm sure you're kind of familiar with him, is musician and activist Jello Biafra, of the former singer of the Dead Kennedys, and spoken word artist, and does a bunch of other stuff. Has worked with the guys from Ministry and No Means No, all kinds of other acts. But he's got a very prolific spoken word career. And I'm going to have to get you this audio, but there's a disc I picked up, probably a double CD, probably from the early 2000s, and he had a monologue called "Become the Media." Wow. And that, when the technology became available to me, and I started figuring things out and understood how to do a podcast, that's what I did. I became the media, and I might, again, I might not take everything 100% seriously, but every show we do, there's at least one bit of truth, one bit of information somebody can walk away with that they're not going to find anywhere else, especially on the corporate media. And if you want to talk about the corporate media at some point tonight, I got some things to say.
Yes, so. we're gonna give the finger to the corporate media here on a weekly basis as much as possible. And we can be as unfiltered here as we like, because this is my new weekly audio project for the week, is to go through and edit the show and make it sound super good for We Act Radio. So they're good to go. And
I will refrain from saying anything bleep worthy tonight, so we can make sure that we cut down your workload.
Right on. I'll do my best, but you never know. And Adam, feel free to be as unfiltered as you like, because that's the beauty of doing our own thing, is we're in control. Talk about some of Adam. Talk about some of your motivation behind doing your own show, and kind of what Kenny's saying.
Well, it's been so long. When I first stumbled on Kenny's show, I stumbled on it through Shano and Danielle's show, which was, what was it called back then? Funked in the Head.
Yeah, right.
I think.
Yeah.
And that's how I got to, I started hanging out in Kenny's chat room. I got to know Kenny, and I got in my head I wanted to do my own show. Yeah. And it took about 2 years to get for all the pieces to fall in place. But I had some ideas. I knew I always wanted to do, again, part political talk, part nerd stuff, because those are my main interests. And
right.
I put it together. I picked some great people to help me. Robert Poole helps edit the audio. Wes Karskan, he's been working a lot lately, so he's not on that much, but he's always been 100% behind me, and so is John Kendall out of Montana. So
yeah, and you're making it happen, and you're showing up, and you're doing it. And because we all, I'll admit I'm the biggest hypocrite. Like, I'm the lead. I hope I'm the lead motivator and the lead, empowerer and the lead, inspirational person. But I'm also the lead hypocrite. As much as I'm like, yeah, we need to get out there and get active and change the world, I'm sitting back and, going fishing and enjoying, a birthday break weekend and turn the cell phone off.
It's like, yeah, I can't change the world. I've got homework. Not just homework, Japanese homework.
Hey, I made coleslaw and cabbage soup today. Saved a head of cabbage from a landfill.
Nice. Nice. Saving the world one cabbage at a time, man. It's got to start somewhere. All right, excellent. And you just sent me the link to that audio. Perfect. Thank you, man. That's fantastic. We've got to play that at some point.
Be fun.
That's good stuff. And that's what it's all about. My motivation came, back when I was still producing for Tom, and I was doing a lot of, behind the scenes of gathering the news and editing things and finding things and researching things. And I became to find a passion in that. And I had already had a passion for audio and radio. It started for me when I was 5 years old, sitting in my Grandpa John's truck talking on the CB radio with random strangers on channel 17 and 19, which came in best in our neighborhood.
Hey, Kenny Pick Sr. had a CB in his big old red pickup truck back in the day. His handle was Red Rider.
Yeah. Breaker out there. 10-4. Can I get a radio check? Anyone pick me up? Holler on back now. This is Big John. You hear me? Call on back now. And
Convoy was a big hit in our house.
I have vivid memories of those things, and then of course I played radio DJ when I had my cassette boombox recorder, and I would record songs off the radio, and then I would record myself, talking. You're listening to me on the radio, and then I'd be like playing Smash Mouth. Woo, dated myself there, but.
I have to say, one thing I think a common thread for the three of us too is we all have a deep appreciation for old time radio too, not just the drama and the comedies and stuff like that. But I know, Jacob, you've got an affinity for a lot of like the fireside chats that FDR did and whatnot. So
yeah, and it's that theater of the mind. It's like when you're watching television, it's kind of like a mindless numbing down, which I enjoy at certain points, right? But you don't get to like visualize things for yourself. Like when you're listening to those old radio dramas and you close your eyes and you're listening to those stories, you get to picture the characters. You get to make up who they are in your mind. You get to envision the scenery yourself. It's kind of cool because you get to do that in your own brain, and everyone's story comes out a little different. And it's that beauty of the theater of the mind where with a certain sound effect, a water drop or a horse galloping or footsteps, you can create so many things in the imagination.
Coconuts.
Come, Patsy.
Right. And that's great. One of our favorite things, Kenny, I can remember is doing like the Halloween special show that happened a couple of times, and just getting together all of those, related, sound effects and creating this kind of theatrical experience for, the listener. It's just, it's very cool. And it's a very personal kind of connecting thing. That's very cool.
Sorry.
I don't know. I'll go on forever. No, please.
I was just saying, I did the Halloween show with Kenny last year, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It certainly was. And we will keep doing them as long as I'm doing this show, my show, and Liberal Justice Radio, or whatever form it comes. We might be changing. It might be, I think it's going to become Indie Media Weekly Radio.
Okay.
So, I think we're going to rebrand. So that's some news we can share with everybody if we want. But I don't want to keep you from a break.
Well, yeah, that's perfect. Let's run to a break here, and we'll come back. Let's talk about that. We can talk a little bit about the rebranding. We'll continue the conversation. And I want to invite you into the conversation if folks want to call in. We have the comment line open at 503-746-TALK. You can participate live. You can give us a call. We'll take your questions live when we come back from the break and all program long at 503-746-TALK. Find out all of the ways to connect with all of us at filterfreeradio.com, kennypick.com, and mikecheckradioshow.com. We'll be right back.
A punch in the face in the form of truth. filterfreeradio.com.
Filter Free Radio.
Filter Free Radio. Filter Free Radio with Jacob Dean and Skeptical Scott.
Jacob Dean. With Jacob Dean and Skeptical Scott.
The news of raising the minimum wage sounded great. $11.50 an hour in Washington, D.C. and in Maryland, in the counties in Maryland, where I used to live in Montgomery County. Sounds great, but I thought I heard something in there that wasn't too hot. What was that one little bit there?
That's scheduled to be in place by 2016.
Oh, that part. Right. Yeah, well, sure, we'll throw you a bone. A couple years from now. So what is your New Year's revolution? Do you make minimum wage and you can't survive?
Filter Free Radio with Jacob Dean and Skeptical Scott.
The fact of the matter is, it's not nearly enough, doesn't go far enough. Raising the minimum wage will help people, and as part of building resistance movements, getting those disenfranchised college students who are unemployed and underemployed, along with the service sector workers who are all living in poverty. If you're able to get those two facets of our society together and organize them, well, then we should have a revolt. We should have enough to shut down parts of our system in order to demand a higher living standard, better quality of life, just for starters. And nothing will change unless you make it. So I hope should be a goal, not just a wish. And then you do something about it.
FilterFreeRadio.com.
No matter how small the haul, a thief is a thief, right? If a poverty wage fast food worker sneaks out a couple of burgers to take home to the kids, the bosses yell, "Thief!" But what do you call it when the bosses steal from those same workers? How about outrageous, disgusting, or simply unbelievable? Well, believe it or not, it's happening every day in multiple ways, and not by a few bad apples, but in what has become routine corporate practice by McDonald's, Burger King, Domino's, and other hugely profitable chains. Technically, it's called wage theft, and it involves such slick-fingered moves as erasing hours from employee time cards, requiring off-the-clock work, not paying for overtime hours, refusing to reimburse workers for gas they bought while making deliveries, or inventing uniform fees and other deductions that illegally drop pay below the minimum wage. Come on, isn't it shameful enough that these global behemoths pay rock-bottom wages without them circling back like low-life pickpockets to steal from their own employees? This is not just corporate thievery, it's thuggery. How low can fast food greed go? So low that the top bosses at headquarters play a sleazy game of hide-and-seek, pretending that they have nothing to do with this ripoff. Personnel practices, they airily claim, are left to local franchisees who are, quote, independent business owners. Bovine excrement. Corporate Central dictates how much mustard each franchise can put on a bun, so to think that it doesn't monitor every dime in payroll is a ludicrous lie. This is Jim Hightower saying, in a recent survey of fast food workers, 9 out of 10 said they have had wages stolen by their bosses. This thievery has become business as usual, and it's worse than shameful. It's slimy. For more information, go to National Employment Law Project at NELP.org.
Hightower's commentaries are brought to you by the Hightower Lowdown, the monthly newsletter with Hightower's take on what Wall Street and Washington are up to. For information, visit hightowerlowdown.org.
Hi, friends. This is Tom Hartman.
This is Stephanie Miller.
Hey, this is Hal Sparks.
I'm Brad Friedman. I approve of Nicole Sandler's RadioOrNot.com.
Radio or Not.
Radio or Not.
RadioOrNot.com. RadioOrNot.com.
RadioOrNot.com. RadioOrNot.com.
Hi, this is Kenny Pick from Turn Up the Night. Here are some of the hijinks you can expect from my show.
That right-wing Republican from Texas was only helping Dennis because he thought Dennis would be easier for Joe the plumber to beat than
Wow.
Ken.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, a pet rock would have been better candidate than Joe the plumber. I think he might actually have been a pet rock before he was a non-plumber. So, but he was a union pet rock, never mind. Turn Up the Night with Kenny Pick, streaming live every Tuesday and Friday from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern at Radio or Not, Talk Radio 1, Progressive Blend Radio, and KennyPick.com.
Hey friends, Jacob Dean here with exciting news. You can now hear my show, Filter Free Radio, on the free Stitcher mobile app. Just visit our website, filterfreeradio.com, scroll down on the left-hand side, and click on the Stitcher logo to hear us on Stitcher. That's all there is to it. No syncing, no taking up memory on your device. Just Filter Free Radio on demand for you on the go. Plus, you can rate and review Filter Free Radio on Stitcher. The more you rate, review, and share us, the higher we will rank on Stitcher, and that means the more people will discover Filter Free Radio. It's never been easier to enjoy Filter Free Radio and help us spread the word. Visit our website, filterfreeradio.com, and click on the Stitcher logo to hear us on Stitcher. Unfiltered radical truth-telling, anytime, anywhere. Thanks, and keep up the good fight.
What the hell? Are you stuck at home on a Saturday night with nothing to do again?
I can't take it anymore!
Then join me, my co-hosts, and my guests every Saturday evening for Mic Check Radio with Adam Hebert. Okay. Together we'll discuss the big news of the week from entertainment and politics, talk about the issues that are on your mind, and hey, we'll even talk about general stupidity and jackassery from the American right.
You stupid jackass!
So join me every Saturday evening, 6 to 9 p.m. Central at my Ustream home, Mic Check Radio. Come on in, it'll be loads of fun.
Gee, I sure hope there's a happy ending. I love a happy ending.
This is Liberal Justice Radio.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message. I love you. Now, back to our show.
Liberal Justice Radio.
It's time for news, opinion, and ass kicking from Filter Free Radio. FilterFreeRadio.com.
Welcome back to the show. So good to have you on board with us. We'd love for you to participate in the conversation. Your open mic, your unfiltered platform is open at 503-746-TALK. 503-746-TALK. You can also Skype into the show. Jacob_Dean. That's all lowercase. Jacob_Dean on Skype. Twitter at FilterFree Radio, Facebook.com/FilterFree Radio, and the website FilterFreeRadio.com. So good to have you on board, and so good to have my special guest hosts. This whole episode is a special treat. Kenny Pick, the host of Turn Up the Night with Kenny Pick at KennyPick.com, and Adam Hebert, the host of Mic Check Radio, MicCheckRadioshow.com, the website. You guys, so good to have you with us.
Hey, no problem. I want to give a little bit of advice before anybody calls in.
Just $2 the first minute, 45 cents each additional. Ask mom or dad first.
No, it's free. It's free to call.
And I promise we don't bite, we only nibble.
Surely you can't be serious.
That's just what they'll be expecting us to do.
So, I don't know. Well, we're gonna have some fun, man. We're gonna have some fun, and that's what it's all about. And speaking of having fun, if anyone is watching us on the video stream, they're probably having fun at my lobster face expense. I'll show a picture.
I've got to see this.
I'll show a picture right now. This is my sunburn, and it's pretty gnarly because I've been out here in Portland. We've had 2 days of sunshine, which otherwise is normally 40 degrees and raining. Which is the norm, but we had a couple of days of sunshine, and I went out on the river, did some fishing, actually hooked up and caught a spring chinook. Because I've been out here, and before you call PETA, like I'm totally pro environment. Like one of these weeks, we're going to get into a Derek Jensen, what is the new declaration, but and also my dad, we went out the next day in a boat, and he caught a fish, and so we have like awesome smoked salmon now, and it was a total birthday treat. But I did not wear any sunblock, and I ended up with red face, and that's what you're looking at. If you can, I don't know if you can see it, but there you go.
You kind of looked like a raccoon.
I'm like, that's what my girlfriend was saying. Like, I say lobster, and she's like, no, it's like raccoon. I'm like, well, lobster, raccoon.
Raccoon.
But
a raccoon with lobster colors.
I had on a beanie hat which covered the top of my forehead, and then I had on sunglasses, and so from my neck to right below my eyes is just as bright red as it could be. It stings, and it's still hot and like peeling now at this point.
Oh. So ladies and gentlemen, come see the Jacobster boy.
Yeah, there we go, right? And Carmen, my girlfriend, she's like, "You're gonna do a show tonight? Are you sure? Like on video? You sure you want to?" I'm like, "I don't care. I don't care." And the folks on radio can't see me, so it's great. Unless they go to my website and watch the video, then we're doomed.
It's gonna be dead judgmental anyway. Come on,
take screen caps.
We don't need anybody if they're going to judge you like on your sunburn.
That's right, dang it.
Never judge a man on the color of his skin.
That's
the content of his character.
Damn straight.
I think Martin Luther King Jr. meant something else.
Amen. No, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Amen. That's good. I wanted to share a couple of things. I did have a little bit of news I wanted to talk about. And I've got a couple of audio clips that I wanted to share with you. Like, I couldn't do a whole show without talking about something in the news. And and someone out there is like, man, you're not going to talk about anything this episode? No, I think, like, the biggest story that is going to be not the biggest story anywhere is the fact that the Polk Awards happened on Friday, and Glenn Greenwald and Laura Poitras actually came to the United States because 10 months ago, when Laura Poitras and Glenn Greenwald flew from New York to Hong Kong to meet with Edward Snowden, the NSA whistleblower, neither of them, Laura Poitras or Glenn Greenwald, have been back to the United States since, until Friday, when they flew from Berlin to New York to accept the George Polk Award for the reporting that they've done on the National Security Agency and the NSA. And basically, they arrived not knowing if they were going to be detained or subpoenaed. And, of course, they were concerned about the threats of, National Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, who described the journalists working on the NSA story as Snowden's, quote, accomplices, end quote. And at a news conference following the George Polk Awards, which the George Polk Awards, if anyone knows, is like their journalism awards. And for us journalism nerds who are like, yeah, we need real independent journalism. It's like, it doesn't get any higher than the George Polk Awards in journalism, I think. So.
And if I'm not mistaken, pretty recently, I think 2008, they started giving the award to bloggers. I think the first one went to Talking Points Memo.
Yep.
John Marshall?
I think so. I think you're right on that. It was definitely Talking Points Memo. And I think it was John Marshall. That rings a bell.
It was on the U.S. attorney scandal back in the...
Right. I mean, back in 2008, let's see, that was one of my years still in college. The only thing I cared about was... well, I'll just leave it at that. Anyways, how time flies, right? I guess. But you got to start somewhere. You got to get active and find out somewhere. And if it wasn't for landing the job at Tom Hartman, I was just in the right place at the right time and got a phone call from the right person who I happened to know and was one of my teachers in college and was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm working at the pizza shop." Okay, well, come on down and work in radio. Okay, so never heard of the guy and come to
Winner, chicken dinner.
And 2 years later, I'm like showing up at the protest, like, yeah, we're gonna change the world. So there you go, right? And I've got a couple of clips I want to share with you guys, and then I'm just curious. It's a tough subject, and I know that a lot of folks don't like to talk about it because a lot of these whistleblowers and a lot of the journalists who are doing this work, because clearly I'm not doing any of this work. I'm just reporting essentially what Democracy Now! Does.
Yeah,
but the kind of the idea on the crackdown on the journalism and all that, and I mean, but here, let me play this for you. This is Glenn Greenwald and Laura Poitras. They took questions from reporters about the government intimidation and all this, and and this is Glenn Greenwald answering the question. Were you guys scared to come, and are you going to come back? And here's Glenn Greenwald.
We weren't so worried that we weren't wanting to get on the plane. I mean, if we were really worried, we wouldn't have come. There was no need for us to come, but we knew certainly that it was a risk. I mean, I think the important thing to realize about this is that American national security officials and other officials in the government have deliberately created an environment where they wanted us to think there was a risk. They have very deliberately and publicly suggested that the journalism we were doing was a crime. They've advocated that we be arrested. They've had their favorite media figures openly speculate about the possibility that we would be. They detained my partner for 9 hours. They announced that there was a terrorism investigation pending in the UK, and they refused to give my lawyers any information at all about whether there was a grand jury investigation, whether there was an indictment under seal. Very unusual behavior when dealing with these lawyers in particular who say that they can always get at least something. So they wanted us to have this kind of uncertainty about whether or not they would take action upon our return to the U.S. That's very clear, and it's easy, I guess, to say it doesn't seem likely that it'll happen, but when those threats are being directed at you, you take them seriously. So we did, but then obviously assessed that the risk was low enough, mostly because we didn't think that they would be so counterproductive or self-destructive to do it, and we're willing, therefore, to get on a plane and come back.
And then me, over the weekend, I'm on Twitter, like, just thumbing through things, and all of a sudden I see this picture going viral, and it's a picture of Laura Poitras and Glenn Greenwald and what's the other guy? Edwin McClaskin? I can't remember the guy's name. And they're like, hey, look, we're not in jail. # not in jail, Glenn Greenwald. Kind of. I was like, wow. To the extent that you have to go, I guess. But Do you guys have any thoughts on that? I got one more. I've got a couple more clips, but I'll cut them down because there's actually only one more that I want to play of Laura Poitras. But do you guys have?
Well, I'll say this: is I always find it very curious the bedfellows you see of the people saying that what Greenwald did was worthy of being arrested, and also, it's on both sides, or the people who say that he's deserving of the Polk Award. I try and stay kind of neutral on this. I'm going to say this is a story I don't like talking about that much on my show because it gets heated. It gets heated, especially when you have a lot of folks on a program. Because I've got my show sometimes stacked 6 people. Right. So if there's something that is going to cause like an eruption of opinions that will dominate the whole show, that's kind of not what our show is about. So I definitely have my personal opinions about but I'm definitely kind of in the middle of this, and I know that doesn't win me a lot of favor with people who but I see no problem with the award going to Glenn Greenwald. I don't think he should be arrested for his part in reporting on what Edward Snowden did, because that's the job of a journalist. If somebody has information, whether it was obtained, legally or not, that's not the burden of the journalist. So it's tetchy. It's tetchy on my show, but it's interesting though.
And it's so polarizing. I totally get it. I've talked to good friends who are on completely opposite ends on this one, and it's like, I totally get it. It's like on one hand, we wouldn't be talking about all this if the guy didn't break the law to begin with, right? So there's that to it, and I get that. Adam, is there anything you want to add, man?
I get what Kenny's saying about journalists and whatnot, but at the same time, some of the stuff Glenn Greenwald has done and said has not endeared him to me. Mm-hmm. Like when his boyfriend got caught stealing stuff from Britain and he, and was rightfully detained under British law. Regardless of what you think about that, the fact is it was legal under British law. And when you are in someone else's country, you were bound by their laws. And he swears revenge. That's not how an adult journalist behaves. Sure. I agree with some of what he's done, but his behavior, it's just, ridiculous at times.
I can understand that. Some of the people that I've talked to, yeah. He also is one of those individuals that's very polarizing on all the aisles of the spectrum, and I'm with you. Let me play this clip from Laura Poitras, who is the other kind of investigative, independent journalist and filmmaker who was a part of the Edward Snowden leak, and she was the kind of the filmer who went there, with Glenn Greenwald to Hong Kong to meet with Snowden and to essentially film what became, the leak. And then it comes out and it's like, here we are a year later kind of thing. But this is Laura Poitras talking about the threats that the journalists face. And I always try to give you the best at the last, save the best for last. What she says at the end is amazing. We will not succumb to these threats. So here's Laura Poitras from democracynow.org.
The other risk that I think that we face as journalists right now are the risk of subpoena, where the government subpoenas our material to try to get information about our source. And we know that the government has been using the border as a sort of legal no man's land to get access to journalist materials. I've experienced that for 6 years, where I've been detained, interrogated, and had equipment seized at the border. And never told, for what reason that's happening. So, I've asked the government to answer that question. They won't tell me. I think close to 40 or more. I've got FOIAs out, and as soon as I can get a precise count, I'll certainly publish it. So, I mean, the risks of subpoena are very real, and as you know, as you indicate, I mean, the fact that we're here is not an indication that there isn't a threat. We know there's a threat. We know there's a threat from what the government is saying in terms of how they're talking about the journalism that we're doing, but I mean, the reason we're here is because we're not going to, succumb to those threats.
Right on. So you can try to bully me, but we're still going to show up and take our award. Okay, I get that. Which is kind of cool, good on them, I guess. I
want my trophy.
One of these days, I will take a picture of my bowling trophies, and we'll do a bowling hour, and I can.
Nobody kept you from picking up that bowling trophy. Nobody stopped you.
That's right. And I didn't get on no airplane to go get it, but but yeah. No, and it's I wanted to share that news story. I mean, there's all sorts of things in the news, of course. I mean, I know about the shooting in Kansas, and I just guns. I mean, it's just never a good thing when you give guns to former KKK members around Jewish centers. And I mean, that's not even a joke, and it doesn't even sound good. But I mean, I don't even want to go there. I know there's news. There's. I mean, for another news story no one's going to talk about today is that UN climate panel, and the fact that the world has basically decided, the United Nations top environmental panel has decided that the world has about 15 years to, hold off extremely devastating climate change. And there's a new report out from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. We got 15 years to really, stop anything. Or, we're talking about the NSA. The NSA has exploited this heart bleed bug that everyone's talking about, this, internet hacking hacker tool that allows people, these hackers, to get your info, and it's been undetected for like 2 years. We'll come to find out, this new story, that the NSA has reportedly known of this new internet bug, Heartbleed, and the NSA has known about it for several years, and they've adopted it for its own use. And this is not like, Alex Jones conspiracy theory. This is Bloomberg News reporting. Oh, yeah. Bloomberg News reporting that the NSA has been aware of Heartbleed since 2012. And we're just saying, I get there's news. And if there's anything anybody wants to talk about, man, it's open table, it's unfiltered, anything goes. And if anyone wants to call in, callers will go to the front of the line. We'll take your questions. If you got a question, I don't want to put you guys on the spot or anything, but if you guys want to take listener questions, if anyone wants to call in, man, it's all fair game with me. So
I'm good for that. That's a privilege I don't quite get on Turn Up the Night, so that would be great. But I have to say about the whole climate change deniers, of course, their attitude, hey, man.
To hell with tomorrow. Their bag is today.
Yeah, so... And if you don't mind, I'd like to back it up a little bit to going back to Glenn Greenwald and of course Edward Snowden. Yeah. The one thing that always bothers me about this is that back in 2009, a guy named Russ Tice from the NSA was on Keith Olbermann's show, and he basically laid out just about everything that Edward Snowden laid out about the NSA.
Okay.
And this is some audio that I played on my show a few times that you might want to check out. But it really gets me because, everybody was up, is freaking out about this information that Edward Snowden gave everybody. Well, guess what? That stuff got leaked a long time ago on Keith Olbermann's show. And guess what happened? Fox News went after Keith Olbermann because George Bush was president and demonized him. And they went after Russ Tice, and they tried, sent their producers after him. And we're like, where's your proof? Where's your proof? Where's your proof? And now, all of a sudden, you don't know if they're coming or going on Fox News about this thing, because half of them think that, Obama bad because of all this that happened, that we already knew happened under Bush. And, again, we had a whistleblower. And nobody cared then. So why does everybody care so much now? That's the one thing that drives me crazy, and that has everything to do with the corporate media, and for the demonization that Keith Olbermann endured, probably the last great journalist on MSNBC. For him to go endure what he did, and Russell Tice, for being dogged by producers from Bill O'Reilly's show or whatever. It's just. What a difference a few years makes,
Right.
It's maddening to me. This is information we had, but now all of a sudden, we're taking it to this different level because, we have a different president, obviously, and there's one key difference between him and George W. Bush, and that's, what could that be? Anyway, we all know what I'm talking about.
Right.
But, so that's something that's always confounded me about this. So, but I encourage anybody listening out there, go Google the interview with Keith Olbermann and Russell Tice from 2009. He said everything within a short, 7-minute interview. Wow. He basically laid out everything we learned from Edward Snowden.
Now, I've never heard this before. This is the first time I've heard this. So the first thing I'm going to do when we get off the air is go find this. A, and B, play it.
I'll send you the clips.
And play it next week, because that's great, dude. I didn't know that, and that's important. The amnesia is so bad, and it's like I went to this thing at Portland State University last year, and there was a panel discussion of these whistleblowers, a former engineer who worked at Hanford, the nuclear site up in Washington State, north of me, and he got fired from working at Hanford for basically blowing the whistle and doing his job as a safety inspector and engineer for calling out problems at Hanford. And we all know that there's problems at Hanford. It's a different conversation. But it's like no one has heard of this, and Kenny's already got the clips to me. You are the man, dude. He is no one knows who Walt the Whistleblower is, and we did a whole show about it. I thought we were gonna save the world, and it's like nope, no one's caught on to that one yet. But I guess I'm sadly not surprised that is. I want to check out these clips, and it's a good thing that we have to run to a break in a minute. Because it'll give me time to grab these clips.
There you go,
Adam.
Yes.
What's your thoughts, man? Before we take a break, what's your thoughts?
Well, I kind of get what Kenny's saying. About how the right wing hated Keith Olbermann because he stood against Bush. The right wing hated him because the one thing they fear above all else is a liberal with spine and balls.
There you go.
And Keith Olbermann has both. I mean, and this is coming from someone who I am not Keith Olbermann's biggest fan. I think I had a bad run-in with him on Twitter. And he he thought it would be cute to insult me when I was just trying to say, it was right when he got signed on to what was the channel?
Current TV.
Yes, and I pointed out that a lot of these cable companies were demanding cable exclusivity to keep him from offering podcasts of his program, thus denying him listeners and viewers.
Uh-huh.
And I said, you're missing out on a lot of audience. He said, well, I'm in, obviously your math isn't good because I'm in this many million households, and he blocked me. He seems to be. He seems to be a bit arrogant, but
you think he's kind of known for getting fired for being kind of a D word, I'm just
saying. But what I'm saying is, he's got spine, he's got balls, and that's what the conservatives hate about him.
I'm with you. It comes with it. I'm with you. It's not all bad about having, it's not always all good things, but it's not always all bad things about having a spine and standing up for that kind of thing, and it comes with it. So. I'm with you, man. And on that note, let's show our spine a little bit and find those independent alternative media outlets that we can trust, like Turn Up the Night with Kenny Pick at kennypick.com and Mike Check Radio with Adam Hebert, MikeCheckRadioshow.com. Both Adam Hebert and Kenny Pick Join us right on the other side of this break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. More unfiltered fun. FilterFreeRadio.com.
Giving the finger to mainstream media. FilterFreeRadio.com.
Filter Free Radio. Filter Free Radio.
Filter Free Radio with Jacob Dean and Skeptical Scott.
Jacob Dean.
With Jacob Dean and Skeptical Scott.
It's a constant evolution of understanding. It's the more you know, the more you want to do something about it, right?
Yes.
That's part of the problem of the corporate media and the false paradigm that's propagated by the so-called mainstream is that there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
And that's not true. And that's what they want you to believe, but it's really not true. And so we have to relearn what was forgotten in the last 30 plus years, 40 years actually. I mean, really nothing's changed since the 60s, right?
FilterFreeRadio.com.
We got no plans at all. Evil man's always transcending. Fighter like sheep, swallow everything. Always simpletons or pretending.
It's your moment of clarity from LeeCamp.net. We, as a species, have so much potential right now. As a being, as a thing, humans right now have a ridiculous amount of potential. Technology has gotten us to a place that we could do almost anything. We can harness the sun's energy effectively. We can travel through space. We can 3D print a fucking organ now, which means we're only hop, skip, or jump away from 3D printing a baby. Of course, this brings up a whole mess of ethical issues like, is it okay to hack into your friend's computer and then print him a surprise baby for when he gets home? And then he's calling up all furious like, what the fuck, dude? It's not funny. It's not fun. That's like 10 babies. Stop this shit, all right? They're crawling everywhere. One of them just pooped in the coffee maker, okay? Stop laughing. Stop laughing. We can remote control a cockroach now. Did you see that? I'm not saying that the roaches are really crazy about it, but we can implant electrodes into a roach's head and drive him around like a remote control car while he's alive. So I've got to assume we aren't that far from just printing like 1 million drone roaches in some city we want to invade and then just driving them around. I haven't quite figured out what military operations they would really succeed at, but at the very least they could make the sandwich shop an unpleasant place to hang out. And these are just the ideas of ways to use our technology that a comedian came up with. Imagine if genuine normal people with suits and retirement plans were thinking about our possibilities as a species. Point is, we are full of potential. Humankind could do the most amazing things right now with the smallest amount of money. We could feed everyone, clothe everyone, give everyone security and housing, and then work on much grander things. But we're not. We're spending our days on a combination of forced daily grind enslavement and mass entombment and mindless spectacle. The first part of that equation is pressed upon us in order to pay the greed masters at the top. The second half of that equation is a choice to drift off and lose ourselves in a vapor cloud of vapid nothingness draped in arousal from screen flashes and car crashes, distractions that distract us from action and therefore lead us toward the action of disaster. Look, I'm not saying we can't benefit from occasional escapism. I'm just saying don't let escape become your prison. Go ahead and watch the professional wrestling match. Just don't watch all the professional wrestling matches. Go ahead and read that article about what that celebrity did to her pretty hair. Just don't read every article about all of the celebrities' hair. Go ahead and jack off to that big butt. Just don't jack off to all the big butts. I guess to put it another way, I'm just saying, if you look at our planet, if you look at the cosmos, if you take into your mind the depth and reach of our universe, there are an incalculable number of big butts. So only jack off to a few and let that serve as a shining example to the others. They'll get the point. Then spend the rest of your time helping humankind to live up to our potential. That's been your moment of clarity from LeeCamp.net. At the end here, I'm going to play 15 seconds of a brand new music video by my favorite band, Rooftop Revolutionaries. I'll put the link to watch the whole video in the description, and I think you should check it out. Also, if you want to help Moment of Clarity grow without donating money, just go to donateyouraccount.com/LeeCamp. It's quick and easy. All right, keep fighting.
Tune in to Liberal Justice Radio on the TuneIn app and tunein.com.
Hi, this is Kenny Pick, founder of Liberal Justice Radio, and I wanted to take a minute to let you know about our schedule here. First and foremost, on Mondays, you can check out Jacob Dean and Skeptical Scott on Filter Free Radio, live every Monday from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern. Turn Up the Night with Kenny Pick, live from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays. On Wednesdays, the Bradcast, live from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern. Fridays, we're back with more Turn Up the Night from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern. And then on Saturdays, it's Mike Check Radio, live from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern. So please enjoy our live shows and the recent rebroadcasts that we run 24/7. And find out how to get in touch with us. Let us know how you're listening to Liberal Justice Radio and what you think of the programming and what you'd like to hear more of.
Liberal Justice Radio on the TuneIn app and tunein.com.
Progressives across the country are taking action, from Madison, Wisconsin, to the Occupy movement. And now, Washington, D.C.'s newest talk radio station, We Act Radio. Progressive talk returns to our nation's capital. We Act Radio is proud to showcase the biggest names in progressive talk radio, including Stephanie Miller, Tom Hartman, Bill Press, Ed Schultz, Sam Cedar, and original live shows from our Anacostia studios. Speak Easy with Kamon Freeman and Ron Pinchback. Available on your radio dial and on the web at weactradio.com. That's We Act Radio, WPWC 1480 AM in Washington, D.C. Truth is our product.
Warning, what you are about to hear will not be heard anywhere else. Filter Free Radio with Jacob Dean and Skeptical Scott. Better than news, better than talk. It's Filter Free Radio.
And welcome back to the second hour of Filter Free Radio. So good to be with you, broadcasting live on our website at filterfreeradio.com, or live at radioornot.com, or live on Liberal Justice Radio on the TuneIn app, tunein.com. Links to all of that at filterfreeradio.com. And our super duper awesome master producer and co-host Skeptical Scott is off this evening working his other job that actually pays him money. And of course, we don't pay him. We don't make any money here. We are not selling commercials, and our thoughts and opinions are not paid for. But we do have on the line with us our super awesome special guest host for this episode of Filter Free Radio. And they're, as I guess a bit of disclosure, they are good friends of mine, both on a professional level and a personal level. And I really respect what both of them do. And they are both doing their own independent online media. And I'm just trying to help, bring the network together and help. Maybe if you've never heard of Turn Up the Night with Kenny Pick and kennypick.com, or maybe you've never heard of Mike Check Radio with Adam Hebert, MikeCheckRadioshow.com. You do now, and you need to check them out. And it's just another beautiful thing we're making happen here. So, guys, thanks again for taking the time and hanging out with us.
You use your tongue prettier than a $20 whore.
I love it, brother. I love it.
Good to be here. Thanks so much. I'm definitely having a good time. And likewise, personal and professional levels, friends, we are the Three Musketeers here.
Yes. Yeah.
You guys are so nice to me.
Oh, shucks. and of course, if you haven't heard of Liberal Justice Radio, you've got to check out Liberal Justice Radio on the TuneIn app on your mobile device. Make it a favorite on your stations and find it there. And listen to Turn Up the Night and Mike Check Radio on Liberal Justice Radio, as well as Filter Free Radio. It's all there. And, go ahead, man.
Just a real quick plug, too, for the station. We might be doing some rebranding soon.
Yes,
we'll let everybody know more about that. You can find out about that at IndieMediaWeekly.com when that switch happens. But the station's going to stay the same. And just so everybody knows, when you hear the promos on all of our shows for when you can hear live shows on Liberal Justice Radio, there's always programming on there 24/7, and it's a good mix-up too. There are other shows I didn't get to mention, like after my Friday show on at 11 p.m. Eastern, Kim G from Indie Media Weekly and we do the Late Night Social Club, where we actually play ASCAP Be On My Music legally. And we have a 2-hour music show where we play songs that you won't hear on any radio station by great, artists that are so underplayed because everybody wants to hear, Miley Cyrus and the guy from Growing Pains kid, so we do that. And not only that too, we talked about old time radio. Something I've been doing, and with the help of Adam, is Adam and I share a mutual interest of an old time radio program that is in the public domain called the CBS Radio Mystery Theater that got its start in 1974. So we have been playing every time there's an episode of Turn Up the Night. We pick the episode, since it's 40 years later. We're playing, the episode from 40 years ago. And what's really cool is we run this after every Turn Up the Night episode, Tuesdays and Fridays. And what's really cool about it is the shows are 40 years old. They have news in them still. And 40 years ago, what was happening this time was leading up to Nixon stepping down from the White House.
Oh, wow.
Because Watergate was going on. So so we mix it up. We have a lot of fun. And I also want to say there's a couple podcasts that Kim puts up there that she produces. There's Toke Signals, and then a friend of hers has, which Toke Signals is a great show.
Hell yeah, it's a great show. Just saying.
It's probably one of the greatest, shows giving you information on the legal status of hemp use and marijuana use around the United States. And also there's another great experimental kind of show called Blue Sky Highway that streams on there too. So 24/7, we don't have a set schedule for the streaming stuff, but it's great. That's indie media. You can tune in and find something new just about any hour of the day. So it's kind of fun. So that's my spiel.
That's it. I love it. And Adam, do you want to talk a little bit about the kind of project? I know it's not completed yet, but you're also working on a little project for the channel. I mean, currently Liberal Justice Radio, soon to be Indie Media Weekly. You're working on a website and a page and some information, right?
Yes. For now, it's hosted on my show's website, but the thing is that most of this material will be easily transferred over to a different page. But we've got a master schedule up currently. I'm working on descriptions of the shows. I've got to make sure I get everyone with. They call them DJs, but all the hosts have those permissions to add their own shows. But that way, you can look and say, okay, this day is this.
Right.
Make
that steak sizzle a little bit. You're gonna sizzle that steak a little bit. We got going, right? And yeah. And of course, I've got to write my bio and get my piece back to you. And Jacob Dean is the super awesome kick-ass dude in Portland, and he is. No.
I think mine mentions my breathtaking anger management issues that I freely admit that I have.
Excellent.
And are sometimes on display.
Right.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
And also, once again, IndieMediaWeekly.com has links to all of our shows that are there. So that's kind of like, she has new tabs over there. We have a great chat room, a pretty good chat room. It's about the best we can get for free right now. But Kim is working hard and she's making new tabs for all of our shows. So it'll be, it's a great portal to go to all of our different sites, and it'll have a lot of information for all of our shows. And I think she's talking about giving us all permissions to edit away on our own pages too. So we shall see.
Excellent. And it's another beautiful thing of the independent, progressive media outlets that you can trust, that you can find, and we're coming together to create those independent networks that, are in demand. Folks, I can't tell you how many times, like especially when I drove up and hung out with the folks in Seattle at Progressive Radio Northwest at the Forum, talking about how no more KPTK on the air in Seattle, no more KPOJ on the air in Portland, no more Green 960 on the air. It's like, well, I can't turn on the radio dial and tune into Tom Hartman anymore. And a lot of these folks, don't even know of the plethora of independent progressive media outlets that exist online. And it was really a conversation. We were talking about transitioning into more online media consumption, social networking, going to TomHartman.com, for example, to watch that show, or, StephanieMiller.com and watch those programs from the computer, which you can do for free. Of course, you have to have internet access, and that's, we should organize the movement around the commons of the 21st century and free internet for all, which is opinion of mine, but that's a different conversation. And
I got to give you an amen for that. I like that.
I'll tell you, that idea came from a conversation that Scott and I had. It was like, we're lazy, because I'll freely admit I am, chief of the lazy, couch potatoes, and I love to play video games. I got my Super Nintendo right behind me, Zelda plugged in, ready to go. I beat it like 3 times.
Another thing we all have. We
Link
all
to
love
the past.
Super
Nice.
Nintendo.
Yeah. And I'll be the first to admit that I'm lazy, right? And we were talking about, well, what could we actually create a movement around in, 2014 in the United States of America, where most people, don't have the time or the effort or the energy or, the money or any of all of the above to create, nonviolent, successful social movements around the issues that we want. And I said, well, it's got to be something that we can all relate to, and it affects us all, and it's a, kind of an updated New Age thing. And then dawned on me, the New Age commons, the commons that we've, the commons. And the New Age commons is the internet, right? It is totally the internet. The 21st century commons is the internet. And if we want to give ourselves and give our future a chance, we have to give everyone free internet access to all. I mean, I'm talking like citywide free Wi-Fi. Just hop on the free. Of course, the NSA is just going to love that to death. But I mean, it comes with the territory, right? But we need to create the free internet for all infrastructure that'll create jobs, it'll create income, and let's take the profit model out of accessing information, because we want to give ourselves and the future a chance. But that's a whole different conversation, and I'll talk forever about it. I'm
down with you, though. I like that.
But no, and I'm really happy you mentioned that, Kenny, because I mentioned Liberal Justice Radio all the time, and this is one of the reasons why I really wanted to get you on and Adam on, and we can talk about, hey, Liberal Justice Radio, we're going to rebrand to Indie Media Weekly. We'll give folks all the info and keep people up to date, and expose, folks on We Act Radio, listening on We Act Radio 1480 AM in DC, probably never heard of it. And that's part of the bittersweet. That's the bitter part. The sweet part is we can all participate. The bitter part is we got to find it first.
And knowing is half the battle.
Yes.
And
now ding.
Now we have to get that drop.
Yeah, and now right?
Yes.
And before we went to the break, real quick, just to pick up on that conversation, I do have this clip ready from Keith Olbermann. And do you want to reset that real quick, Kenny? Because you blew my mind about this 2009 interview.
Yeah, all this, again, what blew my mind, really, with the whole Edward Snowden deal, with all the freak out left, right, center, everywhere, either he's a traitor, he's a hero, it's whatever, I don't care. Well, this information came out before from another guy, and his name was Russ Tice, who worked for the NSA. He was on Keith Olbermann's program in 2009, and he said, essentially, in a relatively short interview, he told everybody what we just learned last year, the year before, with Edward Snowden. Was it last year or the year before? Man, everything bleeds together with when did Snowden
It's been a year. It's been a year.
That's a year? Okay.
Yeah.
So this information, came about, and I remembered this, and and I was like, okay, let me go back and try and find this, and I found it, and granted, he wasn't there with a telephone book full of documents or a thumb drive or anything like that, but he was there saying, guess what? The NSA, it has everything, absolutely everything. And the only thing that happened to this guy was that he got demonized by the right-wing media, Bill O'Reilly in particular. And of course, Keith Olbermann was always marginalized by even some of his own peers on left-wing media. And again, like we talked at the end of the show, I would rather somebody is a complete jerk and tells the truth than be a nice guy and feed me lies all day long. I've talked to so many people that are like, Glenn Beck, I met him. He's a nice guy. And it's like, I don't care. He's a liar to his core.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, Keith Olbermann, he might be a complete, a-hole, but, he was a truth teller, and he unfortunately got his voice silenced.
Yeah, they'll do that.
Yeah, they'll do that. You got to play the drop. Come on.
Man, I don't have it ready. I don't have it loaded.
But no, that's okay. But yeah, so again, 2009, Keith Olbermann, Russell Tice. If you have it set up, there you go.
Yeah, here's the clip, and I again, I've never heard this before, and I'm so thankful you sent it. From 2009, Olbermann, Russ Tice, NSA, 2009. That's 5 years ago? Here you go.
We heard the remarks of Mr. Bush in 2005 that only Americans who would have been eavesdropped on without a warrant were those who were talking to terrorists overseas. Based on what you know, what you've seen firsthand, and what you have encountered in your experience, how much of that statement was true?
Well, I don't know what our former president knew or didn't know. I'm sort of down in the weeds. Mm-hmm. But the National Security Agency had access to all Americans' communications, faxes, phone calls, and their computer communications. And it didn't matter whether you were in Kansas, in the middle of the country, and you never made a communication or a foreign communications at all. They monitored all communications.
Wow.
Surely you can't be serious.
Wow.
What's a fax?
What's a fax?
See, gotta throw the comedy in there.
That's great. I actually have a clip from this. This is kind of interesting. Where is it? I think I've got it here. Yeah, this is from around that same time. I think this was 2006, 7, 8-ish. This is the man in his own words, George W. Bush. I don't normally play clips of him, but this is one I do have handy. And this is ironic now in hindsight, right? Just listen to this 20 seconds. This is gold.
I believe in open government. I've always believed in open government. Rich is right. I don't email, however. And there's a reason. I don't want you reading my personal stuff. There is got to be a certain sense of privacy. You're entitled to how I make decisions, and you're entitled to, ask questions which I answer. I don't think you're entitled to be able to read my mail between my daughters and me.
Wow. Moment of clarity.
Here's my favorite George W. Bush clip.
Human-animal hybrids.
Sorry.
That's more right. That sounds more right.
That's 1 second of Bush.
That's good. That's good to have a laugh once in a while, to decompress and have a laugh. Yeah.
But yeah, and there you have it. I mean, you had Russ Tice come out in 2009 about the Bush policies, and I remember too. Again, I hate to evoke his name again, but Adam, this. I've played this on my show a few times. There was audio of when the NSA was doing what they were doing around 2009, or no, even before that. I think when Bush was still in the White House. I think in 2007. Where Glenn Beck was praising George Bush and referring to him as Batman. Mm-hmm. He was saying he's like Batman, he doesn't want to do these things, to infringe on our constitutional rights, but sometimes you have to get the Joker. It was just that stupid. Right. And again, you know,
well, this is Glenn Beck we're talking about. Every time you ask, can he possibly get more stupid? He gets more stupid.
Yeah, they'll do that.
Yeah. So, but, you know, and again, you know, comparing, contrasting, you know, between the different presidencies, this was an issue, but it was buried by the mainstream media.
Right.
It was,
Right.
you know, again, Keith Olbermann, for various reasons, was silenced around, you know, a little later after this. But, you know, I mean, that was some hard hitting stuff that went nowhere. It went nowhere. Doesn't matter if you're in Kansas. They're reading your email. They're reading whatever. Any electronic transmission, you know, they're doing it. So that's the one thing that really bothers me about the Edward Snowden thing. Not Snowden himself, just the fact that we knew this stuff before and nobody did a thing.
Let me play one more clip. This is, I think this is clip 2 from the Olbermann-Russ Tice 2009 conversation. It's called Metadata. So this has got to be good, right? So let's play this. I've never heard this before. And Kenny Pick, thanks again for sending this. Here you go, from 2009.
To what degree is that likely to mean actual eavesdropping and actual inspection? In other words, if not actually read or monitored by the NSA, everything was collected by the NSA, recorded, archived. Do you have any idea to what degree the information was ever looked at, per se?
Well, it's actually, even for the NSA, it's impossible to literally collect all communications. Americans tend to be a chatty group. We have the best computers at the agency, but certainly not that good. But what was done was a sort of an ability to look at the metadata, the signaling data for communications, and ferret that information to determine what communications would ultimately be collected.
Wow.
And it basically filtering out, sort of like sweeping everything with that metadata, and then cutting down ultimately what you're going to look at and what's going to be collected, and in the long run have an analyst look at, you know, needles in the haystack for what might be of interest.
Dude, Kenny Pick, you've totally, at least to me, exposed the Edward Snowden of 2009, 5 years ago. Time to get with the times, y'all. Russ Tice.
Yeah.
Wow, that's good stuff, man.
So, well, hats off to Keith Olbermann too, because, like I said, I mean, he was just demonized, constantly beaten into the ground, called a hack, treated like garbage, and maybe some of it had to do with his rotten personality. But you know what? He was telling the truth.
Like I said, I have my personal issues with him, but he's got spine and he's got balls, and that means he's a threat to the right wing. Because, I mean, look at what they did in, what's that dump in Nevada with that Bundy guy. They basically browbeat the feds into backing down, and now they got the idea that if they want to avoid paying their fair share, they just have to get a bunch of good old boys with some rifles and AR-15s to come and wave them around, and the federal government will back down.
Yeah, I don't think you're alone with your personal opinion of Keith Olbermann either.
I know. I'm just saying I respect him and I loathe him at the same time.
I like you. You have balls.
That's what I was looking for. That's what
unlike Keith Olbermann hasn't lost his balls, as Jean-Claude Van Damme might say.
Sure.
Yes.
I'm with you. Let's go ahead. I'll tell you what, guys. Let's run to our last break of the show here at the bottom of the hour. We'll come back. We'll have a little fun. I've got a birthday audio mashup to share with you from Turn Up the Night and Talking Left and our good friend Mark Taylor Canfield in Seattle. We'll come back with that and more with Kenny Pick and Adam Hebert. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
FilterFreeRadio.com. Filter Free Radio. They only talk about missing airplanes. That's it. That's all they talk about. Seriously. Missing Airplanes 101. Filter Free Radio.
We need a movement of truth tellers.
The kind of progressive grassroots movement.
A social movement that they can engage in that's not the politics of hatred, that's not the politics of fear, but the politics of hope.
Filter Free Radio with Jacob Dean and Skeptical Scott.
There's two ways to approach history. You
sit in your armchair and you watch it on the news and you return to your PlayStation, or you get out in the streets and you make it.
They can push the rest of us to wake up and do something about this.
People need to rise up and say, I'm sick of this.
Filter Free Radio with Jacob Dean and Skeptical Scott.
Seeing themselves as a huge movement to transform the nation.
The change that we want comes from below. It comes from a movement.
The American people can and will find ways to push for the kinds of changes that can get us out of this dilemma.
I want to see that change, and it's going to take people here in this country to be able to make that happen.
Filter Free Radio.
FilterFreeRadio.com.
From someplace out of this world, this is the Space Dog from Space Dog Radio Show, saying hello from Filter Free Radio, FFR, your progressive radio station, now live, Mondays, 7 to 9 Eastern, 4 to 6 Pacific. In case you missed it, here's something from Space Dog Radio from previous shows. Today, April 2nd, 2014, the Supreme Court again ruled that corruption can be rampant in politics, big money can try to close out the 99%, and that corporations are people. I'm so fired up. I'm outraged that this can actually go on. And America is not totally up in arms. And I do mean up in arms, because this is something that the very rich can use to command the 99%. The Supreme Court, with a majority of conservative judges, has struck against democracy again. Let's do a quick rewind. Back to 2012, when I first started talking about move to amend. Fast forward, October 2013, when the lawsuit just announced to be determined today was starting out. This is what I said. Sean McCutcheon is a wealthy CEO of an engineering firm which specializes in the mining industry from Birmingham, Alabama, who wants to be able to throw a lot of money at the Republican Party. A lot more money at the Republican Party. Currently, an individual can give no more than $46,200 to all federal candidates and $70,800 to federal political action committees and political party committees in a 2-year period. McCutcheon thinks he should be able to give more, which is why he, with the assistance of the RNC and lawyers supplied by the Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, has taken his fight to the Supreme Court. McCutcheon versus FEC brings to light the new problem of money and politics in America. Many Americans still fight to overturn Citizens United, which declared corporations are people and opened the floodgate for money to flood American politics. McCutcheon versus FEC, if successful, would be like dropping a nuclear bomb on any rules about campaign contributions. And we're back into April 2nd, 2014. With the angst and disgust of what the Supreme Court is doing to our justice system, to our campaign reform system. Why? Because big money rules the game. We're just back from a little bit of a break down on the Pacific Ocean at Rockaway Beach. Visited Rick's Roadhouse down there. That was a good time. You can hear more about that. Also, TPP. The fight continues. XL Keystone Pipeline. The fight continues. And how to get voters into the voting booth. The fight continues. It's like a salmon going upstream, for gosh sakes. You can hear it all on SpaceDogRadio.com. Special thanks to Jacob Dean putting on a great show at Filter Free Radio. This has been the Space Dog from SpaceDogRadio.com. Be safe, be happy, and I'll catch you next orbit.
Hey friends, Jacob Dean here with exciting news. You can now hear my show, Filter Free Radio, on the free Stitcher mobile app. Just visit our website, filterfreeradio.com, scroll down on the left-hand side, and click on the Stitcher logo to hear us on Stitcher. That's all there is to it. No syncing, no taking up memory on your device. just filter-free radio on demand for you on the go. Plus, you can rate and review Filter-Free Radio on Stitcher. The more you rate, review, and share us, the higher we will rank on Stitcher, and that means the more people will discover Filter-Free Radio. It's never been easier to enjoy Filter-Free Radio and help us spread the word. Visit our website, filterfreeradio.com, and click on the Stitcher logo to hear us on Stitcher. Unfiltered radical truth-telling, anytime, anywhere. Thanks, and keep up the good fight.
This is Liberal Justice Radio.
You sure look like a bunch of filthy freaks to me. They all smell like freaks.
Liberal Justice Radio.
Breaking news, breaking it down, and breaking all the rules. FilterFreeRadio.com.
And welcome, friends, back to the show. I want to give a shout out to newly good friend of the show, Space Dog of Space Dog Radio, SpaceDogRadio.com. I got to meet Mr. Space Dog up in Seattle. Come to find out, he is also down here in Portland. So we got together and had a brew and hooked up, gave me a couple of Space Dog Radio stickers. And you see, I've got my Space Dog Radio sticker right there on the TV next to my Get Corporations Off Welfare sticker. I don't know if you can see that in the background, but I've got one here, I got one there. And I'm going to play some Space Dog Radio reports as a regular part of Filter Free Radio moving forward. And also, you can find a link to that at our website at filterfreeradio.com. So just, trying to connect that independent network together. I also want to welcome back to the show my super special guests for this episode, and thanks so much, you guys, for being here. The meeting of the minds of Liberal Justice Radio. Some people ask, well, what is Liberal Justice Radio about? Here it is in a soundbite.
Dedicated to truth, justice, and peace for all mankind.
And it is the one and only Kenny Pick of Turn Up the Night with Kenny Pick, kennypick.com, and Adam Hebert, the host of Mic Check Radio, MicCheckRadioshow.com. Of course, links to both of those programs have been on FilterFreeRadio.com forever, and they are still there today because they're good friends and brothers from another mother. And I want to mention, I got a message from someone saying that they're trying to call in on the comment line, and my Skype thing is not working. So neither of you guys hang up until at least the show's off the air. And anyone trying to call in, I'm super sorry you can't get through. I don't know what is going on. So if you can't get through now, you can call back anytime 24/7 and leave your messages, leave your comments, leave your ideas, leave your news, leave your reports, anything you want. You can call 24/7 anytime you want. Your unfiltered open mic on demand at 503-746-TALK, 503-746-TALK. And actually, I'm going to have to try to figure out a way to maybe I can let you guys use that, because all it is it's my Skype. Like, I just log into my Skype. And when people call in to that number, it just routes it to my Skype. But we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that one of these days.
Have a powwow, as it were.
And it's relatively inexpensive.
I see
it's
plans within plans.
It's I think they call it Skype number is what it is on the Skype website, and it's like $30 or $40 for a whole year. So it's pretty cheap. It's doable.
Thank you, Mr. P.
And that's a perfect segue, if I can, real quick, to a comment on our comment line that I did receive, and I got to share this with you.
You've got mail.
Stick it in the mailbox. Why don't you stick it in the mailbox and I'll give it to you when I can.
Oh, is that the mail? Is there anything in there for me?
What's this? A letter for me.
Hello, you've reached Jacob. Sorry he can't get to his phone right now. Please leave a message and he will get back to you. Thanks, and have a great day.
And the comment comes from Mark Taylor Canfield, who left me a very fine happy birthday message. But before I go to the birthday mashup that I want to play with you, ask and you shall receive. And I think our comment line is working, because I got a call from 818 area code, and callers go to the front of the line. So caller, from 818 area code. You are live on Filter Free Radio. Tell us what's your first name? What's on your mind?
Oh, it's Randy Lover. I was just checking to see if it was working. You were telling me that the phone line wasn't working.
Hey, man. Well, thanks for calling. First of all, it's great to hear you. And it does work. So thank you for reassuring me.
So how was it up north there? Went up to Washington, was it?
Yeah, I drove up to Seattle on March 26th to participate in this forum. It was a free forum. It was public, it open to the public, and it was put on by the folks at Progressive Radio Northwest, and their website is progressiveradionorthwest.org. And basically, the lead organizer was a friend of mine, Mark Taylor Canfield, and he had already partnered with Progressive Radio Northwest on a previous forum with Norman Goldman. And essentially, Mark reached out to me and just asked me if I wanted to come up to Seattle. So I made, the drive. It's three and a half hour drive. So, 7 hours of driving. I slept in the back of a truck, and I got to speak to 12 people. But I tell you what, I'll never forget that moment in my life now, because it was really important for me. And I think hopefully, I learned a lot from that event. I hope folks who showed up learned something as well. And I recorded that audio and we posted it on the website. There's a link there and you can download the MP3. And it's on the homepage. You just have to scroll down at filterfreeradio.com and there's a link there. But yeah.
I will check that out.
Well, thank you, man. And what was that? What you wanted to say? Is there anything else on your mind?
Well, I've been trying to press the point that the progressives need to all get together, basically on one board, one place, one area where we can all get at least a goal together, a single goal. Where I think it should be like a pencil drop back in school. Remember how we used to just, okay, watch the clock. Everyone's watching, and we drop it all at that specific time. Right. If we could do that, we might be able to start making a difference.
I'm so with you. That's something I'm very excited about. I'm going to be doing an interview this week with someone else who I met at this forum in Seattle. Her name's Lindsay, and she is working on creating just that, creating this hub for all of the independent progressive media outlets, all of the turn up the nights of the world and the mic check radios and the filter free radios of the world can come together and put a link and put up a podcast and say a little bit about their thing and create this activate hub, if you will, where people can come to get what they find what they're looking for and participate in that movement, in that activism. And I'm so with you. There needs to be and one of the listeners or one of the audience members brought up that exact point, Randy Lover, at this forum in Seattle. He basically said, his name was Don, and his website is Washington Liberals, and he basically said words to the effect of there are two ways that we organize. There's the bottom-up grassroots, which I'm preaching all of the time, tell 5 friends, they'll tell 5 friends, and we'll start the revolution from the bottom up. And then there is the top-down, which you see effectively used by the Fox News and the right wing, because I think, I said as much. They're more easily programmable, and progressives have more of a capacity to think for ourselves. But Don's point at the forum was we need some sort of top-down management, some sort of we get that we can all participate and we want to be inclusive, but there's got to be some sort of structure. There's got to be some sort of framework. And your pencil drop. Today at 5 o'clock, everyone drops their pencil and participates in the movement. I'm with you, brother, and that's a part of that top-down that we need. We do need that.
Yeah, because the other side has all the monetary support that you could possibly have. I mean, they basically took our infrastructure and used it. They took our printing press and used it. They now have our media and have used it. We're running out of resources here. So what we have, we better start taking advantage of it while we can. Because as you can see, when you start doing the fascist corporate thing, everyone knows. And we've been watching it. They eat each other. Eventually, there's going to be one person, one corporation in charge of it all. Right. So while they do this, they're also eating up our avenues of getting out the voice, and basically all we're trying to do is give out some information. So, we're trying to tell everyone to wake up. All these laws that we just removed from the books, that was what caused us to have the middle class. That's what caused us to have an America. And that actually left us the room and mobility to have morality. They don't even allow us morality nowadays. They tell us what morality is. It is not religion.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Morality is not religion, and that's what they're telling us it is, and then they're telling us what religion is.
Sure.
Well, wait a minute. I thought Christians had a monopoly on values, and come on.
Right. Right.
They put them all in a bucket, and they carry them around with them, and they hand them out and say, yeah, you can have them.
Well, what's wrong with free thought? Seriously, what is so damaging about free thought that they're so afraid of?
Well,
because what they're telling us is a lie.
Well, there's not a damn thing wrong with it, and the reason they're afraid of it is because that will be at the root of what takes down the corporate state. Is our ability to express our free thoughts, our free speech through our free media and our free press and the independent journalism that is free of corporate influence that we have the rights to, which are guaranteed to us in the United States Constitution. So,
well, if I can jump in real quick, I can tell you what they think is wrong with free thought, Randy Lover, and I've been an atheist since I was probably about 15 years old. I'm 42 now, and I remember when I was in high school, probably sophomore or something like that. A girl came up to me and she said, "I heard that you were an atheist," and I said, "Well, yes, I am." And she said, "Well, when you go to hell, you come back and tell me what it feels like." So the thing is, you're totally right about this. I think you said it. It's a threat to their personal beliefs, which, and I always say to anybody, your personal belief, if you're a Christian or if you're of any religion, or if you're of any faith, that's your personal belief. And if it is so weak that my non-belief threatens that, then that's your problem, not mine. So I think that's what it boils down to, is it boils down to insecurity. And then you have, big things going on with corporations, like we now have the Hobby Lobby Conestoga Wood thing, where they're like, well, corporations are people and they have religions now too, and we're scared of your, birth control and all that, nonsense that threatens us. So, now, what essentially should be a personal belief now is a corporate belief structure, which is totally mind melding. It totally makes my brain turn into a liquid and run out my ear.
Hobby Lobby looking at you. Randy Lover, I do want to thank you so much for the call, man, and fire away anytime. That's what the comment line is there for. I wish we would get more phone calls more often, and thank you for demonstrating that it does work. I want to give you a final, parting shot, and again, thanks for calling, man.
Oh yeah, it was my pleasure, and I'd just like to say that I've had a relationship with God since I was 5 years old, and I have nothing but respect for atheists because they have a mind, they use it. I grew up watching the stuff on TV, like, as you walk through the house, you're grabbing a sandwich or whatever, and someone happened to leave the channel, on Channel 11, and there's Tammy Faye Baker and Jim Baker, right? And I'm walking through the kitchen, I see that, I all of a sudden lose my appetite, I've been there. Right. I understand this. But it doesn't change the fact that we have physics, the laws of physics in our world are what they are. Mother Nature is what it is. Right. Whatever's out there is out there. It doesn't matter what these guys are telling us about religion, how screwed up it is, and how they're manifesting it into this evil, nasty, twisted piece of crap that's simply just there to try to control us and make money off of us.
Make the
See
money.
It for what it.
Amen, brother. I'm with you. Follow the money. It's all about the money. Thanks again for the call, man, and hopefully you'll call in and encourage more folks to call in as well. And Thank you again, man. We'll talk
Catch
soon.
you later.
And folks can chat with Randy Lover over at radioornot.com. It's we make it a regular thing, and we're in the chat room right there right now. So there you go. And that
Great
is
call.
Yeah, great call. And that is literally just a demonstration. That is how unfiltered and independent this operation is. If you call into the show, it's just going to ring and ring and ring and pick up, and you're live on the air. There's nobody else here. So it is an unfiltered, open mic. So, and great call. Good stuff. Adam, was there anything you wanted to throw in there?
Well, yeah. I mean, one of their ways of suppressing free thought is by attacking academia. They don't want educated voters. They want mindless drones, because educated voters, and I know you're not exactly 100% about the liberal, conservative, or Republican, Democrat paradigm, but educated voters tend to vote more liberally. And that's why they have been undermining our public education system since the Reagan administration. It used to be the envy of the world. Now it's the joke of the world. I mean, we can't even settle things about evolution.
Yeah, I'm with you. I am absolutely with you. And so, yeah. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. I love to take calls, and then on the other hand, like, I produce all these things and I have the show plan, and like I never allow myself time to take calls, and so then I'm like, now in the back of my mind I'm like, okay, what do I not
if
want
you don't mind my going out on a limb,
yeah,
you could always do a third hour like we've been leaning on you to for like 2 years.
For 2.5 years, you son of a. And then yeah, I know, right?
I'm just throwing that out there.
And it would be convenient for We Act Radio as well. I think they are looking for a noon to 3 slot, a 3-hour fill there. So there is pressures there as well. So I don't know. We'll see.
Of course.
I guess.
Baseball stuff. What else do you have?
If I have to, I guess. I want to play this. This is... it was my birthday on Friday, and every once in a while you got to toot your own horn a little bit, I guess. You got to pat yourself on the back, give yourself a gold star, because no one else is going to do it. And it was a birthday. I had a great day, and I shared it with some great friends on some great independent media outlets. I got a couple of great phone messages, and I put it all together in a little audio mashup. It's about 5 minutes long, and so this would be perfect timing. I'll share this with you. We'll come back, and we'll share some final thoughts, and we'll wrap her up. So here's a little Jacob Dean birthday audio mashup featuring Kenny Pick and Turn Up the Night, and Danielle Talking Left, and Mark Taylor Canfield. And hey, there's a shout out on National Talk Radio in there. A happy birthday from Norman Goldman in there as well. So here we go. Have fun.
Nice. You're listening to Talking Left with Danielle and Shano.
Welcome back to Talking Left with me, Danielle and Shano. And joining us now is the one, the only, the host of Filter Free Radio, We Act Radio's newest edition, Jacob Dean. How are you, my friend?
Hey,
Happy belated birthday.
Hey, guys. Good morning. So good to be with you, and thank you very much.
What are you, like 25 now?
Just a spring chicken. Yeah,
Yes.
I turned 26 on Friday, April the 11th.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you. I had the best fried chicken, mashed potatoes and gravy, collard greens, mac and cheese, Southern soul food dinner ever, and I only get it once a year, so it was great. And I'm still feeling the effects of that right now. So
I bet. Did you eat that with a side of Lipitor?
Yes, exactly.
I don't know if we have any other birthday boners for tonight's program, but why not? Jacob.
Somebody said they got one coming up on Friday.
Well, yeah, Jacob.
Shit.
Yeah, it's your birthday this Friday, so
Here, give it to them.
anybody else out there? Anybody? Anyone? Quickly? No? All right. So too bad. It's for Jacob Dean. Here's your birthday boner, my brother.
This is your birthday song. It doesn't last too long. Hey! Hey!
Hey!
Your birthday song. It doesn't last too long. Hey! Hey!
Thank you. Thank you, oh dear friends, for coming to my birthday!
And what a birthday gift you got, too, with the We Act thing. That's so great. So,
Oh, yes. They still don't believe
So
me.
how old
that
are
the
you
only
now? Are
thing
you 25 yet?
26. Going to be 26.
holy
right?
God.
26. And they still don't believe me that the only thing I want is biscuits and gravy from Diane's, which is a hole in the wall for breakfast, and my fried chicken and collard greens and gravy and mashed potatoes from the screen door for dinner. That's all I want.
Yes, yes, and yes to that.
Simple things that are always.
That's all I want.
So you're just asking, for that with a little bit of this.
Now with a famous hot gravy.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
I reckon you can fix me some biscuits and gravy.
Let's celebrate birthdays now. Shay Rodriguez turning 1. What a cutie pie. Happy first birthday to Shay. Then we have Darius Rayburn turning 2 today. Melanie Booth is 8. Turning 26 is Jacob. Monica Holtzclaw is 30 today. Vanessa Livingston celebrating her 37th. And the winner of a large Papa Murphy's pizza is Randy Cornett. Turning
Damn! I didn't win the pizza.
Birthday announcement. It's pretty simple. Just send us a note or a postcard.
And they used my real name, which I've got to edit out now.
Portland, Oregon, 97232.
Always use your air name on the air. That's okay. Thank you, guys.
Tune in on Monday. We've got
Yes, tune in on Monday to filterfreeradio.com.
Message deleted. Next message.
Hey, Jacob. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jacob. Happy birthday to you. Get out of here, you knucklehead. Hey, how you doing? Just wanted to give you a good wish on your happy day. And a happy 25th. And, or are you 26 now? I don't remember. Anyway, have a good one. Talk to you soon. Ciao.
End of message. To delete this message, press 7. To save it in the archives, press 9. Message will be saved for 11 days.
Problem is we have this mismatch. How do we get us to the kids with the technology, and how do we get the older folks who are afraid of the technology to overcome their fear and get with the technology? Because then we will all win. Tom and Ed, Stephanie, all of us will win.
Well, there's two responses I have to that, Norman. One of it, I've come full circle on this issue of the technology because after the forum that we had on the 26th of March, I left with this takeaway, which is the next time I talk to folks who are uncomfortable with these devices, I'm just going to say to them straight up, what you have in your hand right there is the most powerful multimedia tool ever invented on this planet. And if you're afraid to use it, then there's not much I can say to you. The other part of this is that there are a lot of young and up and coming and independent broadcasters out there. We had Filter Free Radio's Jacob Dean, who's a part of the whole Nicole Sandler Radio or Not Network and Liberal Justice Radio. So there's a lot of new networks that are starting really organically. They're not really making any money, but they're definitely getting the word out in small markets right now, and they're all across the country. So that, I think, might appeal to more of the younger folks. Jacob himself is only 25 years old. In fact, today's his birthday, so if you're listening, Jacob, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
But, yeah, he's a young one coming up, and he is part of that generation that's decided. He was a producer for Tom Hartman's show, actually, in Portland when he was at KPOJ, and then helped him set up that studio in Washington, D.C. But he went on his own, started his own radio program, and he's there every week broadcasting, trying to keep up the progressive voices on the air and do the right thing. So, I think that's where we're going to get a lot of the new energy is from people discovering that everyone can have their own radio station now. And some of these folks who are very serious about it are going to be able to create these networks and generate some money to, pay their bills and upgrade their equipment. So I think it's possible from both points of view that the older audience is going to get used to the idea that their grandkids keep showing up with their tablets.
And that is the birthday mashup. Now, real quick, I've got like 2 minutes before the end of the show, and callers go to the front of the line. The comment line is always open for you, 503-746-TALK. Ask and you shall receive. Mark Taylor Canfield, brother from another mother, and fearless independent journalist out of Seattle. I'll give you 60 seconds, man. It's all yours. Thanks for the shout out on Norman Goldman. You the man, dude.
I'll salute.
Hey, my brother from another mother. Thank you for inviting me on today. It was my fault. I had the wrong phone number, so that mystery is solved. But definitely keep up the good work, and you and Space Dog have really inspired me to do my own programming, so I'm up and ready to go. I'm really excited about it. If it wasn't for what you guys are doing, I probably wouldn't have come to this point, because I'm used to being on other people's shows all the time. But I'm really excited about doing my own content. I think it's really an exciting thing, and it's also walking the talk, because I keep telling people that everybody should be doing this. So if I don't do it myself, then I'm not really setting a good example.
Amen.
But I'm watching you live now, and now that I know I have the right number, I can contribute more often. I think I've called this number before. The one that I had for you guys was a Washington, D.C. number, and it might be Scott's. I had no idea.
Oh.
But it wasn't the studio number, so that was my fault.
No worries, bud.
Hey, Mark, it's Ken. I owe you a phone call. I'll call you tonight if you're around.
Ah, awesome. I will be. Sounds good. Good to hear you on the air as well.
I can't thank you enough, man, for the kind words. Mark, let's stay in touch. I will definitely record some badass voice liners for your program. Anything I can do, we're going to make it happen, and we'll get you on board. Maybe hook up with Liberal Justice Radio and syndicate the Mark Taylor Canfield program. We're going to make it happen, dude, and I'm so happy to be a small part of it. So let's do it.
You're a big part of it. Like I said, you're one of my inspirations, so thank you.
Right on, brother. Thank
and
you.
Kenny, yeah, I checked out the last show you did with Kenny, and it was really interesting, so I'm excited about talking to Kenny, too. And this is the way that these organic networks start and grow. It's just person to person, people finding each other and liking what they do. So I think that's a much better model for starting this kind of cooperative project than, who's got the money.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Follow
the more
the money.
the less authenticity most of the time.
Exactly. Amen, brother. Mark, let's talk soon. Let's hook up and talk soon, bud. All right?
Good. I'm glad I got to say hi to you, and I hope you had a wonderful birthday.
Dude, I didn't know you could sing that well, brother. We're going to have to write some music too. That was you got some pipes there, man. So thank you.
That was my Bill Murray impersonation.
I love it.
The lounge singer,
Yes.
that kind of thing. Get out of here, you knucklehead.
Get out of here, you knucklehead. I love it.
But Star Wars.
See, Kenny,
I can't get no satisfaction.
Heck yes. And Kenny's done his own band thing, man. And Kenny plays some of his music on his show too on the breaks. We're gonna have to get together and create the jam session too. We're gonna make it happen.
Yeah, let's share some music, Kenny. That would be great. We've got a new recording project, a bunch of bluesy rock stuff, so it'd be great to share tracks with you.
Absolutely.
All right. Sounds good, man. Mark, I want to let you go, and I'm happy you got in, bud. And let's we'll touch base, and we'll get that program going, and we'll definitely get a link up to it, and we'll make it happen. I want to carry some portion of the Mark Taylor Canfield program on Filter Free Radio on on the break or something. We'll play a 2 or 3 minute clip or something. So we're going to make it happen. I'm super pumped and I'm super excited, buddy. So we'll talk soon and we're gonna get that one going. Yes, sir.
All right. Peace out, guys.
All right,
good to hear you on the air.
Good night.
Have a good one.
See ya.
All right, Mark. Thanks for calling in, man. Excellent.
See, Kenny, your baby's getting bigger and bigger.
There you go. Adam, do you want to? I want to give both of you guys final say, final words, final parting shot. Again, thank you guys so much for joining me tonight and coming on the show. And everyone needs to check out Turn Up the Night with Kenny Pick and the website there, kennypick.com. And of course, Mike Check Radio with Adam Hebert, MikeCheckRadioshow.com. And there's links to both of those at our website at filterfreeradio.com. But Adam, your final thoughts and your final message, and do you want to talk about maybe what's coming up on a future show?
Well, I do believe we're in the process of rebooking the gentleman from Panzer Gaming Studios. Shot them an email today. They want to do a follow-up interview because their game, A New Reckoning, is going into early release in May, and I'm interested. So we'll that we're looking at the first week in May of that. I've got nothing else planned, although there are people I know I want to book. I'd love to get a chance to interview the people behind Welcome to Night Vale. Kenny knows that too.
There you go.
And who knows? Maybe one day I'll do like a live show from an anime convention.
There we go. We'll do some remote broadcasting. You betcha. And how do folks check out Mike Check Radio?
You can check us out on Liberal Justice Radio every Saturday night, 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern. We also are on Spreecast and Stitcher. Also, the podcast. I got to get the podcast up for this week. I'm running a bit late on that, but we do have a podcast. You can check us out on the iTunes Store under Mike Check Radio with Adam Hebert.
Right on, brother. And folks need to check it out. Again, there's a link to it, filterfreeradio.com. And Kenny Pick, Turn Up the Night with Kenny Pick, kennypick.com, brother. Your parting shot, man.
All right, I'll make it real quick. Check me out at kennypick.com, indiemediaweekly.com as well. And find me on Facebook, too. I'm pretty easy to find on Facebook. I give constant updates over there. I'm really bad on the Twitter. But the last thing I want to say tonight is, Jacob, thank you so much for having me on tonight. And I'm glad we could share some stuff about, a lot of things that we're talking about in indie media now is stuff that's happened before that has flown under the radar.
Exactly.
There have been so many people out there that have been whistleblowers, that have been truth tellers, that have gone, underreported and ignored. That, like I said, I have a wacky fun time on my show, but every show I do, you will come away with something that is like, well, hey, hey, kids, it happened before. Look at this, Right. So
you blew my mind tonight already, right? That's
yeah.
Exactly.
And also, in last plug too, if you want to hear more from Russ Tice, somebody you might know, I definitely know through your radio experience, Peter B. Collins did a great interview with Russ Tice last July. So he tells it like he knew it before Edward Snowden even was in the common vernacular of the United States. So
right.
So that's it. But thanks, Jacob.
You bet, buddy. You bet. Right back at you, man. Couldn't do it without you guys. And let's,
this was so much fun.
You bet, man. And I'll just put you guys right at the top of the thank you list for the people who make this show happen. Our special guest host for the evening, Adam Hebert, Mike Check Radio, MikeCheckRadioShow.com, and Kenny Pick. Turn Up the Night with Kenny Pick at kennypick.com. Love you guys both, man. Couldn't do it without you. Thank you so much. I got to thank everyone who makes the show possible. Skeptical Scott wasn't here tonight. Love you, brother. We Act Radio 1480 AM and the folks there, weactradio.com, for syndicating us. Thanks to Nicole Sandler for syndicating us at radioornot.com. And, of course, thanks to Kenny Pick for syndicating us on Liberal Justice Radio, on TuneIn Radio, and A-Online Radio, soon to be Indie Media Weekly. Big thanks to Kevin McLeod of Incompetech Dano of danosongs.com for music production. Thanks to our webmaster, Shano, for the website. Thanks to the listeners, of course, our friends, for liking the show, spreading the word, helping us grow. Big thanks to our friends in the chat room. We love the conversation. We appreciate you very much. A big thank you to my official puppy sitter, JD Fishin. Couldn't do the show without you. And remember, we need you to help participate, get active, be the change, and make the difference. Show up. Let's get active. Let's participate in the solutions. We'll see you next week. FilterFreeRadio.com. Much love, y'all.
Filter Free Radio.
There's a time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. So give me something to believe, 'cause I am living just to believe, and I need something more to keep on breathing for. So give me something to believe.
The revolution will be broadcast
Monday from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern. Filter Free Radio.